Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us during Women's History Month. I am Jen Lemon, Operations Manager at George Houston Bush Intercontinental Air Traffic Control Tower and the Air Traffic Organization, and the President of Professional Women Controllers. I am proud to host in conjunction with FAA our final Breaking Barriers segment. Our Breaking Barriers Women's History Month event on March 1st, Building a Foundation of Hope for the Next Generation, was all about extraordinary women who not only went to space, but helped others achieve the success of space exploration. Our second Breaking Barriers event, roundtable discussion with the women of the F-35A team, was about leadership and careers in aviation and aerospace, as well as an opportunity for girls and young women to learn what it takes to soar. Our final Breaking Barriers, past, present, and future, will host extraordinary women who have resiliency, tenacity, strength, and determination for success. As we move through today's event, feel free to put any comments and questions in the YouTube comment thread, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. We have a powerful panel of experience today, so let me get started with who we have. I'm excited to introduce, first off, Ms. Jody McCarthy. Jody's retired from the FAA and now president at McCarthy Aerospace Consulting. Vanessa Dumont, also retired from the FAA and now living her best life as Gigi. Angela Neal, acting assistant administrator for human resource management. Good afternoon. Alice Hood, deputy vice president, system operations. Alina George, program specialist in the FAA's drone integration office. And Ms. Dawn Barrett, operations supervisor at Minneapolis TradeCon and national focal to the operations supervisor workshop. Ladies, thank you again so much for joining me. I am so excited, and I hope we have enough time to get all the information out there, because this is a very powerful panel right here. So I'm going to start off with a question for everyone. There's a lot of you that came prior military to the agency, and some of that came outside of the military. I would love to know exactly what led you to a career in the FAA. And again, as I said, this panel is about past, present, and future. And I'm going to start with the past first, which was Ms. Jody and Ms. Vanessa.
Well, thank you, Jen, and thanks for inviting me to join you guys. This is really exciting. Even after you retire, you don't lose your love for the mission and the people at the FAA. So I'm really thrilled. Like you mentioned, some of us came from the military. I was Air Force. So it was kind of luck of the draw that landed me in the air traffic career field. And I had a great time in the Air Force and went into the FAA as a controller about 1988 or so. So that's what led me here. And it's been a fabulous journey since.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, you had 33 years with the agency, correct? Or was that also including your military time?
It was 36 years, that'd be 32 of which was with the FAA. 36 years. I can't even.
So for anybody watching this panel, that is a lot of career advice for the organization. It's Vanessa. How about you?
My story is pretty much like Jody. And again, Jen, thanks for inviting me. This is exciting to see these new beaming faces and some older faces that I'm familiar with that I'm glad to see that's done so well. And Jody, thanks for joining me, the ranks of retired. But I grew up in a small town, just humble means and a way to get out back in the day, which was 1980, which some of you weren't even born, I'm sure. I went in the Navy and I went in to be a corpsman. Well, you take your ASVABs and they said, well, you scored high on this. Why don't you look at cryptologist? No, not my demeanor. Air traffic control. And there was something else. I don't remember what it was. And I said, oh, I'll try that. And here I am. Then I was in the Navy for 8 years, different duty stations. And a friend of mine, Julie Barron, sent me the direct hire information that was out for like 2 weeks. I'm 8 months pregnant. I go for my interview at the Navy base at Miramar. I was in San Diego. 10 days after I get out of the Navy, I start with the FAA. New baby, sold all my stuff in San Diego. They sent me to Norfolk, and that started my career. So with Jody, very much the luck of the draw. And all along my career, it's been a lot of very useful experiences, I'm sure.
And you were, what, 26 years in with the agency, correct?
Total of 34, yeah, so 26 with the FAA and 8 with the military.
All right, again, a lot of career advice, and I have picked these women's brains multiple times. They are definitely mentors and friends to me for many years. So how about
Glad,
move?
glad to help.
Yeah, thank you for that. Let's move to Miss Angela. What brought you to the FAA?
Yes, thank you, Jen, again, for hosting this panel and just providing this opportunity for women to speak to other women about their journeys. So my career in human resources is what brought me to the FAA. I started my career in the federal government in July 2000, and I started as a presidential management fellow at the National Institutes of Health. My background is science and communications, and so that was the draw to NIH. I was going to this research institution where I could help develop communication campaigns and those big billboards that you see when you're driving down the highway about, you know, different things related to NIH. I was going to be developing those. And so I got to NIH as a presidential management fellow, which is a sort of a gateways program. It is a gateways program. That term may be familiar with our FAA workforce that draws individuals with advanced degrees into the federal government. And the idea or the purpose is to sort of groom them for leadership. And so that's how I got to the NIH. And I wanted to do a rotation in human resources because I was a new federal employee and I'd heard so much about HR and being a federal employee. And I did a rotation in communications and completed a rotation in human resources. And I think you could just say, as they say, the rest is history. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping others. I enjoyed interacting with others as it relates to recruitment, career development opportunities. One of my first projects was to develop an employee referral program. So that's when you could pay employees to help recruit others to the agency. And so from there, I progressed into various HR roles. And in 2012, I left NIH and started a position at the Department of Homeland Security. And my last role there was as HR policy director. And in 2021, early 2021, things were going well for me at the Department of Homeland Security, but I was looking for a challenge. And so I saw the opportunity here for the Deputy Assistant Administrator for HR Management role in Human Resources and applied to the job, went through the recruitment process, and here I am today. And it has been a very rewarding career. I've certainly learned a lot, and I've met some great people along the way.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. I know you have some, it's probably a little overwhelming because you have some very big shoes to fill. Annie, I know, was a huge powerhouse, but you and I have definitely talked a lot, and I am very much looking forward to the fact that I know you're trying to keep that forward momentum as she had. So I'm very thankful for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, Miss Alice.
Hello, and thank you for having me join this panel with this wonderful group of women. I started my career as a cooperative education student while I was attending Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, Go Pirates. There was an opportunity to co-op with the agency, and so that meant 6 months in school and for 6 months at a facility. I had two opportunities. One was a naval program, which I was really interested in because at that time I wanted to fly. And then the other was the co-op program with FAA. I didn't have enough semester hours for the Navy, so as luck would have it, I did have enough for the FAA, and it was a wonderful choice. I started at, like Vanessa, I started at Norfolk Approach. I co-op there for 2.5 years. And then finally, after that, after graduation, literally less than 30 days, I found myself in Oklahoma City at the school, and following that, Washington Center, and then on and on. It was an easy choice for me. Once I started the co-op, I realized that I greatly could still, have interactions with planes. I could still do the things that I love. And then, as you know, it's a long and wonderful career that has allowed me to, stretch further than maybe I thought I would go. And it's allowed me to raise my family and to live, my best life at GPC. So thank you for having me. And it's been, I'm looking forward to ongoing participation.
Great. And Alice, how long have you been in the agency?
Ooh, that would be telling me. Over 30 years.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely.
You started when you were 18?
I started when I was 19.
I'll see, I was close. All right.
You
don't look it.
And it's been great.
Awesome. Again, we have a lot of history on this panel right now with a lot of knowledge. All right, Miss Alina, let's go to you.
All right. Well, I certainly don't have that many years yet behind me at the FAA. So I'll start from the beginning, I guess. To get me to this point, it's kind of been a winding journey that I'm sure is familiar to a lot of millennials. I worked in a number of different places for, a couple of years here, a couple of years there, including different nonprofits and even tech startups. But I've worked in a number of different roles. So everything from customer service to education and as well as outreach efforts. So a wide breadth of experience. So I joined the FAA in March 2019. I am currently a program specialist in the UAS office for the UAS integration office. So we work with drones, which is such an exciting place to be. I will go on about it forever if you let me. So I won't. But within that office, I am one of the administrators of our UAS CTI program, which again, I can talk about forever if you really let me. But I also work in outreach and engagement regarding drones. So everything has kind of come full circle in that, I worked outreach and engagement and worked on education quite a lot in my previous jobs. And now I've really found my niche here at the FAA. My interest in aviation and technology really goes back to childhood and a lifelong love for science fiction, starting with Star Wars and expanding into basically everything that I could get my hands on to read. So I've always been interested in pushing the boundaries of science and technology. As an adult, I knew that I wanted to help people. And being with the FAA and in federal service, I feel like I am doing that every day. So I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Jen.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. If anybody hasn't kind of taken a hint, Alina right now, she's kind of like our future side of things. I mean, we have a lot of future on this panel, but you figure drones are going to be the new thing coming up. And Alina has you're about 3 years in, right, Alina?
Yes. I just hit my 3 years, March 17th.
Yes, you were a St. Patrick's Day baby.
Yes. Auspicious.
So that works. Yes, it's okay. Miss Dawn.
Good afternoon, Jen. Thank you for including me with these wonderful women. I've always been interested in aviation. It was one of those, the aviation bug bit me when I was really little. We lived in Central Florida and we could see the space shuttle take off from my yard, and I wanted to be an astronaut. And I continued along that route all through high school, went through the ROTC, ended up going to college at Embry-Riddle, where I decided I didn't like math and physics that much. So I went on to continue to become a pilot, and along the way stumbled along the air traffic program there as a minor. And that's where I was first introduced into air traffic. I continued to fly, was a flight instructor for several years, and then was a corporate pilot. And in 2000, the FAA called and offered me a job at Memphis Center. And I said, sure, let's do it. Do I have any other choices? And they're like, nope, Memphis is it. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So September of 2000, I started as a controller at Memphis Center, and the rest has been history. It's been wonderful.
Awesome. And how many years you in now? So you're 2000, right?
Coming up on 22.
That is crazy. That is crazy. There's a lot of history here. So I'm really hoping that everyone takes advantage of this right now, because there's a lot of questions that can be answered right here. So I want to ask a follow-up really quick to Angela and to Alina, because even though, Angela, you have been with the government for quite some time, and you said you were at the Department of Homeland Security, you started out with the Presidential Management Fellowship originally. Has it been a hard transition for you, or any major transition changes to go from that to this, going to the agency, the FAA?
Thanks. No major transitions. I think with any position, there's the biggest change, I think, is a change in culture. And each organization has its own organizational culture. And so it's something that I anticipated and prepared for. So my goal or my plan is to always go into the organization, learn what the culture is so that you can navigate it. Now, the challenge that we have now is the pandemic. And so part of navigating the culture is meeting people, running into people, and just sort of observing the operations, just standing back and observing sort of the day-to-day of an organization. And so it's kind of difficult to do that behind a screen. So it's good to be, when you are in the building. Yesterday, I was there, and there were, many more people that have been there since I started in October. But that's part of learning the culture, just sort of observing, talking to people, getting their take on their experience with the organization, and then sort of navigating from there.
I can imagine. And especially the fact now that nobody has to wear masks, it's like you go from having the meetings with people with masks on or not having masks on, and now you can see everybody face value. You're like, oh, this is what you really look like. That's amazing.
Oh, yes. So to see people in 3D has been, so much fun. I mean, you've been behind a screen. And what I've noticed, sometimes the interactions are even different in person versus on camera, on screen. And so there are people still wearing masks. But yeah, sometimes you can kind of just detect from the eyes of, if I were to see you, it's like those eyes look familiar to me. And then you kind of peel the mask back maybe, or say who you are. But yes, that's sort of the challenge that you experience when you're onboarding into a new organization during the pandemic. But everyone has been very open and willing to, have conversations. So we have worked technology as much as we can. So Zoom, Teams, and conference calls, we've certainly been doing that to help me get up to speed and get acclimated and kind of, learn more about the organization and the people. And so as we're sort of opening things up more, I'm looking forward, as I mentioned to you, Jen, when we talked, to kind of getting on the ground and understanding more about our mission and the work that we do. So being able to, visit a tower, or visit the command center, or talk to some of our employees who are at the front lines, I think really helps me in my role, so that I have that perspective in mind as we are developing and implementing HR programs.
Okay, very nice. Alina, how about you? Because it wasn't that before you were at education and outreach, correct? At Spark Fun Electronics?
Yes. So it was a pretty big change for me, especially coming from the startup tech world. In the startup environment and in their culture, there is something, things move really, really quickly. In fact, there is a saying, move fast, break things. And, I'm pretty sure that was Mark Zuckerberg who really, coined that and made that really popular in the tech world. But federal service is different. It's definitely more of a move slowly, break nothing type of place. But I think that there is a happy medium between the two. And so a lot of that is what I'm doing with the UAS Integration Office. There is space in the agency for creativity and innovation. And it's also really, really important to understand the system that it is right now. So, for myself, it took me, I would say, about a year, like a full year, to really figure out where I fit within my office, within federal service. But once I have, and once I did, I've really been able to I think, do some really good work for the agency, and also really work on my own growth in my career and as a person.
That's awesome. And that's, that's actually very nice to hear, the fact of, someone coming in from the outside and actually having that experience. So that's amazing. And that is definitely kudos to the people that you work with as well.
They're pretty wonderful.
That's awesome. Gotta love it. And that's the thing. It's like, if you ever figure out, it's like, if you can support the person that's in the position, then it's really not work. It's just something that you enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
So for Jody and Vanessa, you all have, okay, so between the two of you, my math is not the best, but right now, if I'm looking at this correctly, I'm looking at about 59 plus. So almost, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that, years of experience between the two of you. I know. So between, let's say we have director positions, VPs, deputy assistants, we've got frontline, headquarters, staff specialists, we've got senior advisor, which actually the funny thing is Vanessa was the senior advisor to Jody for a little while at one point in time. So these two have worked together for quite some time. You both have just a huge, vast amount of experience, from controlling to management to headquarters, policies, deputies, all these different things. What has been the most important risk or decision that you have made in your career? And I'll let you two flip a coin.
Vanessa, why don't you do this one first, and I'll follow.
All right. It's kind of hard to narrow it down to one single situation that was difficult, because I mean, when I started, I was a single parent, that baby in tow. It was difficult to go to a new place, new environment, and move around, but you have to find yourself too. Like Alina said, don't get lost, be yourself, find your niche, don't change, but find what your place is. Probably one of the most important decisions I made was coming out of the controller ranks after I saw what else there was, because in air traffic, you have 50, 60, 70, 80 things you can do different, different jobs, different situations. So, you travel around, you see new things, you're like, hey, I can do that. I would like to do that. How about doing that? And I've been fortunate enough to get those positions. So being willing to pack up and move somewhere else, even if it's for a year and a half. I left Norfolk to get a soups job. I went to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Kind of cold, kind of cool. It's a great place, excellent people. I learned a lot there from the union, the manager. It's not always what to do, but what not to do, and to develop your own style. Just don't lose yourself. Alina, my daughter's 32, which is probably still older than you, but she has gone through many different things, and it makes me proud that she's not afraid to step out in front of that truck. It's like, the truck will stop. It's not, it's not going to kill you. It'll be okay. So that was many different situations, but just, your gut knows, your heart knows. So, Jody.
Yes, ma'am. That was great. So I really wanted to comment, Alina, the energy that you exude there is just spectacular. And I'm going to be watching your journey there to see how you develop. And it's just really neat to see. So one of the biggest changes came probably, I don't know, around 2012, I guess it was. As I had mentioned, most of my background in my early career was all air traffic. And I got a call. I was over in, I think it was terminal services is what we called them. This is before the ATO, but still an air traffic organization. And I got a call from then Vice President of Technical Operations. And she said, I'd like you to come over and on a detail as the director over in technical operations. And that was Terry Bristol. And I said, Terry, I'm an air traffic controller. I mean, I was terrified of the thought of going over there and failing in tech ops. And she said, I'm not asking you to come over and be a technician or an engineer. I'm asking you to come over and lead them. And I was petrified, of the thought of leaving air traffic and going into this world I didn't know, but I did it. And over the next 5 years, I found a passion for the other side of the operation that I never really gave much thought to. I had an underappreciation of as an air traffic controller. And it just became like this love of the work that they do on that side. And it was kind of unheard of for an air traffic person to go over to tech ops and vice versa. And now I hear of Jeff Planny and Jeffrey Vincent making a real effort to swap and integrate those two very important functions. And so I'd like to kind of think maybe I was a test case there to see how that went, but I loved it, loved the work. But it was about taking a risk and really getting outside of my comfort zone, which is air traffic. And I think it changed the trajectory of my career, that one decision to go do that. So.
Okay. Thank you. So this next question is going to go to Angela and Alice. And Alice, I'm going to start with you first. What was a challenge you faced during your career progression, and how did you conquer it?
I love this question because it kind of speaks to, our ability to stretch and grow. For me, my first management position was at Washington Center. And I was a new mother also, and, doing shift work, and I was doing a lot of things I was actually trying to follow my MVP and figure out if I still wanted to stay on the track I was, or if I wanted to do something else. But the biggest challenge was not the work, it was me. As I started, walking through management positions, I would find myself going through this long loop in my head, over analyzing conversations and decisions. And, sometimes you can get stuck. My drive home was all about the day. It was not about decompressing from the day. It was rethinking a lot of the conversations and the decisions I made. Were those good? What did people think about them? And all of that. And so with some self-reflection and a little bit of advice from some people whom I respected, I had to, I took a step back and I realized that as long as I had those conversations, honestly, with integrity, and I was intentional in the things I said, then I could walk away feeling good about all of those interactions. But it took some doing to get there. It wasn't easy. In my top 5 is intellection, input, and learner. So I live in my head, and I rethink things. Could I have done it better? Was this the right way? And so I had to step away from that and really think, well, you gave, as long as you were honest in your conversation, you were intentional in what you wanted to communicate, but also you did that communication was with good intent, so there was integrity behind it, then I felt good about it. So I will say every day, I haven't completely gotten by that. I think, I still always second guess sometimes a lot of the decisions I make, and I am a work in progress, but when I find myself going down that rabbit hole, I do stop. And then I think, in the words of Whitley Gilbert, if you know who that is, relax, relate, release. And then I'm better about the entire conversation. I'm better about the interaction. And I always walk away knowing that I've done at least my very best. So
that is awesome. I love that. I know I have not heard that before, but I absolutely love that. So that is going to be something I'm going to incorporate. But I agree with you 100%. As long as you can do it honestly with integrity, you can't go wrong. Miss Angela, how about you?
Well, first, I just want to say, wow, because this is my first time meeting Alice, but my response to that same question is being okay with misperceptions and being okay with being misunderstood. So early on, in my career, there were times when, I was misunderstood, or people may have drawn conclusions about me without having all of the facts, or forming judgments or opinions about me without having all the facts. And for a long time, as Alice mentioned, I would sort of replay that in my head, or I would try to over demonstrate, what you think isn't what it really is, over communicate about something like that. And after a lot of self-work and self-reflection, and really being in tune with what my intent was or my intent is, I've had to become okay with that, and always leaving the door open for someone to come and ask a question. So if there is a misunderstanding, what I would always say, if you have questions, please come see me, or let me know if you have questions. And then that opens the door. That gives an opportunity for someone to come and ask a question. It appeared that you did this. Was this your intent or not? And so, but that took a lot of self-work, and it's easy to sort of, as Alice mentioned, sort of replay those things in your head, especially when you know your intent. But I had to come to the conclusion that was not my problem, that was, the individual's problem. But leaving that door open, or creating an opportunity or space, and leading in a way where you could see what my real intentions were. But that's one of the challenges, I think, of being in leadership, or just working with people in general.
I do like that. And I always claim that I will always ask questions. And if anybody looks like, why are you asking so many questions? I claim rookie status anywhere I go for at least a year. So that way they can't get on me about it. I'm like, hey, it's rookie status. I have to ask questions. If not, I'm not going to know the answers, right?
Absolutely. That's
and
good.
It's worked for me so far.
Wonderful.
Next question, I'm going to go towards Dawn and Alina. And Dawn, I'm going to start with you. What advice would you give to women who are thinking about moving up in their career or wanting to get into this career field?
Well, I think I'm going to take some of what you just said, play rookie status for the first year. Absolutely ask the questions. I like that. I'm going to have to steal that one from you.
Share.
Society in a lot of ways, tells us as women in male-dominated industries, and the aviation industry is definitely one, to be a certain way, or to act a certain way a lot around people, or don't ask questions. And I say, forget all those rules. Forget what society teaches us. Go for it. Achieve your dreams. If you want to do something, go out there and do it. If there's hard questions to ask them. Use tact, but ask them. And don't be scared to go for it. There's no reasons why we shouldn't be able to do it. I've had a lot of situations where, I was like, oh, that seems like it's something really, really neat to do, but why should I get it? Well, why not? And ask that. And I've had opportunities to, for example, once when I was in college, there was an air show, and I was like, I want to fly in the blimp. And so I just went up to the pilot and said, hey, can I have a ride? And they're like, absolutely. And I would have never dreamed in a million years I'd get our opportunity to ride in, one of the blimps at the air show. But just little things from that to then other jobs and opportunities, to mentorship opportunities. Even if you think the person is really, really busy, go ask them. The worst thing that they can do is say no.
Exactly. And that's the one best thing too. I know Jody actually offered this opportunity to me a while ago, and I see all of the VPs, DVPs always offering up, do the job shadow. And I know I've gone and I've job shadowed Jody for an afternoon. So yeah, again, if you don't ask, you'll never know that you have the opportunity to do it.
Absolutely.
Alina, how about you?
Oh, so I'm just going to build off of everything that has been said so far. And, really reaching out and asking questions. And for me, something that I have found has been really, really helpful is building relationships. I know that I personally am a very extroverted and outgoing person. So I know that this is difficult for others. But I think that it's really important. For example, let's say you're in a meeting and somebody in that meeting, another woman, says something that really resonates with you. And you're like, wow, that was a really great thing that they said. What I like to do, and this is easy in the FAA because you can just jump on Teams and find anybody, is just to write them. You can also do this on LinkedIn, right? If you are watching something and there is a really incredible person that you want to talk to, just reach out to them. See if they are willing to chat with you for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. And when I say this, right, I really am encouraging you to genuinely build relationships and get to know this person, and build relationships in this place, in the space that you are in. So, within your office, approaching people with this kind of sincerity and empathy and real genuine curiosity, they're going to respond in kind. And so that's what I have seen so far within the FAA that really, really helps moving forward, or, even just making new friends and learning, right? I wouldn't be on this panel if I hadn't, if Jen and I hadn't spoken with each other and been on meetings together. And I am learning so much just from listening to the wonderful women that are on this panel. So I'm very thankful that I'm here. And Jen, I want to.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Is it okay if okay,
Yeah.
So as Jody and many of you were talking earlier, I actually wrote down a question myself to ask all of you, because, I have the benefit right now of hearing your experiences. So Jody talked a little bit earlier about moving over to tech ops and being, pretty nervous about it, not knowing anything. And so this is really a question for everybody on the panel. How have you dealt with imposter syndrome? And I'm saying that as like a non-technical woman in an agency that is so full of incredibly smart people who know everything about aviation, or are pilots. It can be a little bit intimidating. So how have you dealt with that? Or is it something that you've encountered and overcome? I'll leave it at that.
So Jody, since you started this, I'm going to let you start with it.
Well, Elena, can you qualify for me what you mean by imposter syndrome? I need a little bit more.
Sure. So imposter syndrome, as I have understood it, is never feeling like you are good enough to be where you are, right? There is always somebody more qualified. There is somebody more knowledgeable. Why am I here? I don't fit, right? And I'll bring it back to myself and really use myself here as an example. I studied English literature. Why am I at the FAA talking about aviation when surely there's somebody out there who might be more experienced than me? And so how do you deal with those kinds of feelings?
Wow, that's a deep question. Wow. Because I think for myself, I've always questioned myself along the way, right? Just what you're saying, why am I the one? But why not me, right? Why not you? That's really, it goes back to that is, I've worked hard. I've dedicated my life to public service, and regardless of the job I'm doing at the time or the task I'm doing, I'm still a public servant, giving it my all every day. And I have, a passion for the aviation community and public service and government works and all that. So why not me? I think we as women often struggle with that especially is looking for someone that maybe is more qualified, but that's a good question. I'm going to even reflect on that more and be better prepared for that the next time. That is a great question. Anybody else want to give
Dawn? I'm going to give this to Dawn because I saw Dawn like, oh, I got this.
It kind of goes back to the one piece of advice that somebody gave me very early on, and it goes humble confidence. I'm humble in that I have a ton to learn. And every situation that I go into, even if I've been in that environment for a long time, but there's always more to learn. And confident, I can do the job just as well as anybody else. And yes, I might not make the best decision in the long run, but I made the best decision with the knowledge that I had at that moment in time. And I've learned from good decisions, bad decisions along the way, but humble confidence.
I like that. I like that phrase, humble confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do. Alice or Angela or Vanessa?
I'll chime in. I think you have to be confident in what you know. There is something that if you're in a position, there's something that someone saw maybe that you don't see yourself, and you just continue to stretch. Every time I've taken a new job, and I'll just say I come out of an in-route environment, and then I went to command center, so I made the jump to sysops, and then I made the jump to terminal well into my career. So I'm now standing in a tower, looking out of the window, giving, control instructions, which to me was the coolest thing I've ever done. But I walked into into something that was unfamiliar with knowledge of how to, what maybe took place in those facilities or in that internal environment, but without the real experience to say, oh, I can do it, but I knew that I could. And so I think sometimes you just have to trust that you have to be confident in what you know, but also what you can learn. So as long as you have the ability to learn, there should be very little stopping you from, kind of moving into a place where you understand that, no, maybe I am disqualified. And by the way, I always think I'm disqualified, even when I'm not.
That's why we all have to think. Angela?
Yes, just adding to what has already been said, just understand that you are a work in progress. And so, and you are well aware of how well you're contributing to the work. And so understanding that you are continuing to learn and grow and being committed to that growth. I think it's important. Several years ago, I heard about, having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. That can really, that really is one of the main determining factors of your career or your progression in anything that you do, being open to growing, to learning, and to receiving feedback from others who can help you grow. So focus on what you are contributing, and then also remind yourself that you are a work in progress and you're continuing to learn and grow.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add on to that too, because I think it's important to surround yourself with people that lift you up and not keep you down. And by lift you up, I don't mean just always patting you on the back, but can lift you up by giving you critical feedback as well. So
That's good.
Yeah, surround yourself with the right folks.
And it's funny. So as when we were offline, I was talking about this briefly. So Angela McCullough now, who used to work with Jody, who is now our deputy COO, she had an article, and she actually wrote in her article, she has a board of directors she calls for a gut check and receives honest perspective. You have to be willing to hear that and maintain a level of humility. And I think that's actually very true to what you all are saying right now, being open and honest to that feedback, accepting it, but also knowing you're worth it. Why not? And a comment that I had made a while ago is, like the Nike commercial, just do it. If not, you're never going to know.
Absolutely.
This has all been incredible. And I hope that if there are, professional young women who are watching this, that you are listening to all of this experience and really taking this to heart. Thank you so much for answering that question.
Absolutely.
Great question.
Absolutely. So what I'd like to continue on then with this process is the fact that, we are all women who are both leaders and active participants in the aviation community. How can we better support women getting into aviation careers? How can we personally do it? And how can we promote outreach? So Vanessa, I'm going to start with you.
All right, you just keep starting with me. Now, I think
I'm never going to end with you, woman.
One of the things that is important is to talk to people honestly, and to go back to what she said about humble confidence. No one, and especially in air traffic control, no one loves to do anything more than to talk about themselves and what they do. So you find that person and just listen, just soak it in, hear what they have to say, and you can go, yeah, that's not for me. That's not what I'm looking for. And again, with Alina talking about the millennials, that is a different mindset that is so refreshing to me. I love that. It's kind of like a no fear thing that I kind of felt that I grew up with, because I'm like, okay, so someone has to get the job. Why not me? But I better pay attention and I better be worth the job. Make them think that they didn't waste their time. They didn't waste their position on someone that was just going to come in and do 8 hours and go home. Always volunteer for things, always jump out there, go to the local airports, talk to go to the school, women, go to the schools, see if they have an aviation program that you can go and talk to them. It's, there's a lot of different things that you can do. I know in the community that I'm in, there's 6 different colleges, Lord knows how many high schools and stuff that you could go around and visit, which is something that I may drag Jen to.
I'm okay.
Got your place to stay.
I know.
But I mean, it's something that's really important. And all it takes is for someone to see that. Reading something doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. But once they step into the tower, they look into the cockpit of that 172, or they go, I could fly this. I'm going to do it, and that's what we need. That's what we need more of. And, just a broader outreach program. I don't know how the FAA is doing it now. Sorry, but I can tell you what cartoons my little grands love. But I still have that passion, for the airplanes and stuff. I'm like, dang, they turn base right over my house. And they do. I worked at Nashville for 5 years and we're right on base. And whenever the weather's bad, they're low on base too. So the neighbors always call me, go, what the heck's going on? I'm like, it's weather. But, that's something that we need to talk about and put out there. And Jen, you're the perfect person to do that. But you have all the connections and people that you can talk to and different things. And Jody as well, you got tech ops and, there are so many different things that we can reach out for, and to talk to you and listen to you ladies is so incredible. I love the people that didn't come from air traffic, hear their stories, Angela, you look 20. I can't believe that you have had so many jobs, but I love it. I love that. And when I was in air traffic, I had 17 different positions and the 30 some years I was there. Because I go, oh, I can do that. I can do that. Ask Jody. You jump in your life. I'm like, I don't know, but let's do it. So
I thought I had commitment issues to jobs. Vanessa has me beat above and beyond.
ADHD in this job is amazing.
Yeah. So Angela, what about from your perspective, from the human resources side, what would you say would be the best way for us to get more women involved in aviation careers?
Sure, thank you. So first of all, I just want to say that recruitment is not just HR's responsibility. And what I mean by that, we are all recruiters. And so HR, one of the things, or one of the many things that we do, we have a very robust corporate recruitment and outreach team. And I believe this spring alone, we've connected with probably 50 universities. And we're also connected to a lot of the professional organizations and associations. The relationship that we're fostering here, Jen, with PWC and TWC and all of the employee associations, that's one of the things that I like about FAA. We offer a lot of opportunities for everyone to sort of find their community, if you will, and to exist in their community. But I think offering internship opportunities, our targeted recruitment to universities and some of the training institutes. Also, I think mentoring and sponsorship for women. Also exposing young girls to a career in aviation early on and helping them to understand it's not just a pilot's position. You can be an air traffic controller. You can be an HR specialist. You can be a budget analyst, because we're all supporting the mission of FAA, which is around aviation and aerospace. And so I think representation is important. For women to see other women in those roles and to see women who look like them in those roles. I think you may have a little girl somewhere who may say, I never thought I could do this until I saw this woman do it. And now I know I can do it too.
That's actually very impactful as well. We had the F-35 Lightning demonstration team, and they said the exact same thing. They said it's more impactful when they see someone like them in that uniform doing what they're doing, to realize, oh, wow, I really can do that. And it's amazing.
Yes.
So, and it does. And a lot of it too, it starts at home. So, and I know a lot of us I'm always preaching to nieces, nephews, everybody out there, like, make sure that they understand they can do it. It doesn't matter what age they are, just always make sure that, they understand that it doesn't matter what they do. They can always do it.
They can do it.
Yeah. So Angela, I do want to ask you really quick also. So the fact that with your new role as the Assistant Administrator of Human Resource Management, and again, you're what, October, you came to the agency, correct? To the FAA side.
Yes.
What would you like people to know about you? Like who you are and what your focus and your legacy is in your position right now moving forward?
Sure. Wow. Who am I? How much time do we have? A few things I will mention. I'm really passionate about people, and I'm passionate about HR. I mentioned to you all earlier, my career started with the intent of being of marrying sort of my science with communications, but HR, I am really passionate about the position that we play in the organization. We're the first person that people see when they come on board, and we're the last person that they see when they leave. And so we are, we're involved in the total life cycle of every employee in any organization. And so that's important to me. And I understand how important that role is. And I also understand the importance of collaborating with our internal and external stakeholders to ensure that we are serving and supporting the mission well. And so that's one of the things I appreciate here at FAA, a lot of established partnerships and collaborations that exist. Also, I think when you talk about my legacy, I guess things that are important to me in this role is recruiting the best and the brightest, equipping our team, making sure our employees, the entire workforce, have the tools and resources that they need to do their jobs well. Also creating an environment, a space where everyone feels respected and included. So ensuring, as we just mentioned, talking about representation, ensuring that we have the representation there, and also ensuring that we create a workforce that represents the people whom we serve. And as you know, we serve the world. And so creating a workforce where that exists. And so those things are important to me, in addition to engagement. I think if you're leading any organization, any team, you have to care about the people first. I think that's so important. And, in various roles in leadership, you have some who really don't want you to get to know them that well. And so you have to be okay with that as a leader. And you lean in and engage with those who want to engage. But I think you have to start out with really caring about people as individuals. In every position that I've had, I've worked to build partnerships where we're connected, and I know about the entire person. So I tell folks when I come in on Mondays and I ask you, how was your weekend? I really want to know. I really want to know, how was your weekend? Or when your team members have challenges that they may be experiencing, being there to support them. And also being there when they have triumphs as well. Team members are experiencing a lot of successes in their lives that may be outside of work. And so celebrating them in that space as well. So really making people feel seen, heard, and valued.
Awesome. And that's the thing, like I said, the very first time I actually had a chance to meet with Angela, it was like a breath of fresh air. It's just so fun and enlightening, and just so much in just a small little half-hour time space. I'm like, oh, I want more, because you're just amazing. You're an amazing individual, and I'm very glad that you're with us now. So I look forward to continuing on with you, over the next however many long it is.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
So I do have a real quick question, because as Angela said, we do work a lot with partnership, with I know with PwC, we partnership with Human Resources, Civil Rights. And I know that Alice, Dawn, and Alina, you are all part of different employee associations, whether it is PwC, the Black Coalition, NAPA, even FAMA. I mean, even though they're not actually an employee association, they are still a very big part of helping with career development and employment. So let me ask you, the three of you, what have they helped you along your path?
So I'm a member of PwC and the Women in Aviation and the National Black Coalition of Federal Employees. And a lot of the things that I've had the opportunity, initially it was about networking and, having the opportunity to interact with my peers, but also people who could, maybe mentor me, and maybe that I could mentor. But it's also about the training. And a lot of times I think something that is lost is all of these organizations provide not only the network, but training that you need to do better, be better, move further. And I think those are the things that I really appreciate coming out of that. But also you have, when you talk about your network based on the membership, that if it's 5,000 members and you have 5,000 people you can call when you might need some advice, some career advice in particular, or even just to run, this is what I'm dealing with. What do you think? So I think it provides, those kind of opportunities. And then it's also a breath of fresh air. You are surrounded by people, like-minded people most of the time, who understand, the things that you go through in your career, your day-to-day work life, and even, the impact that it may have on your life outside of work. So I think for me in particular, I can only speak to my experience being part of those kind of organizations has, it offers a level of comfort, but training and also sometimes tough love.
Dawn?
Can I just say ditto? No, no, a lot of it, I kind of written down earlier, training is a big piece of the different organizations and training opportunities, whether it's, direct training that you're attending as a classroom type thing or a webinar, or scholarship opportunities. I know I'm a member of Women in Aviation outside of one of the FAA employee associations, but through PwC and with FAMA, they all have scholarship opportunities to pursue other educational opportunities. I've gotten flight training paid for that way. I've done different things that way. The networking is huge, going to the different conferences that they all hold at different places. Some, or the Women in Aviation one was 5,000 people. The PwC ones were, and the FAMA ones are much smaller. So you get that shoulder to shoulder FaceTime with people that you think you'd never had the opportunity to talk to. And they've been great. But to build off a lot of what Alice just said, they're got nothing but good things to say about them.
Alina?
Sure. Sorry?
You're the vice president, correct, of NAPA?
Yes, I am. I actually joined NAPA in May and have been, I guess, the vice president since, I don't exactly remember. I think it was December. So NAPA is the National Asian American Pacific Islander Native Hawaiian Association here at the FAA, just to clarify what that stands for. And I, of course, encourage everybody to join. I think one of the best parts about the employee associations is that anybody can join them. And I think it really helps in understanding different people and different backgrounds. And I'm going to sound like a little bit of a broken record because I've already talked about building relationships here, but it is really an incredible opportunity to build and start wonderful, wonderful relationships with people, again, that, as previously mentioned, you may never have been able to rub shoulders with before. So there are a lot of opportunities for example, including this one, and building a relationship with Jen and with Angela. We've worked on a couple of projects together at this point, but there are so many opportunities that will become available to you just because now you see them when you join an employee association, and meeting people from all over the agency, I think is really, really important. Again, going back to that, people of different backgrounds. And, very much like Angela, I love people. I love learning about people. And I think that's really important to just understand the other people that you are working with. And not just, yes, they're completing this task, but also who they are as a person. I think that's so important. And something that I really get out of being part of one of the EAs.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I cannot believe it's actually, we are almost out of time. So I'm just going to say, number one, thank you all again for taking the time today to help out with this panel. Thank everyone who has watched this, and it's been an amazing event altogether. Thank you to the ones that are behind the scenes that have helped make the Breaking Barriers series just absolutely amazing over the past month. This has been a great venture. And again, thank you to everyone who's watching this segment or watched the previous, helping spread the word about inspiring women you've seen and the endless aviation possibilities that daughters, nieces, granddaughters, sisters, and even your neighborhood friends can achieve. I really want to make sure that everybody understands that, these are all opportunities that are open to you. These videos will be up for watching over and over and over again. And for now, with that being said, I'd like to turn this over to a woman who has been a champion for the Federal Women's Program, a great mentor, and a really great friend to me. the one and only Miss Virginia Boyle.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you to everybody that's watching. As Jen had mentioned, in case you missed it or you'd like to share the information, it will be on YouTube and the MyFA broadcast. So we'll send all of that information. And thank you to the incredible women on this panel. You did an amazing job. And I wrote actually quite a bit of notes that I will think about later. And really, it was an honor for me to kick off Women's History Month and then here bring it to a close, though we honor each other all year long. And for those that don't know me, I like to have fun and I really love insightful quotes. And first they kind of make you go, you kind of thing. And then, you have time to soak them in and absorb them and understand the depth and the wisdom that these women are sharing with the world. So if we were in person, it would be fun for us all to shout them out to see if we know who said these, but I wanted to share a couple with you. So bear with me while I look at my laptop. Let's see. A girl should be two things: who and what she wants to be. This is by Coco Chanel. Strong women don't have attitudes. We have standards. That is Marilyn Monroe. If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you're an excellent leader. That was by Dolly Parton. Women that can believe in each other can survive anything. Women who believe in each other create armies that will win kingdoms and wars. That's Nikita Gill. And I had to look her up. She's a British Indian writer and poet. A woman with a voice, by definition, is a strong woman, but the search to find that voice can be remarkably difficult. That was Melinda Gates. A strong woman knows she has strength enough for the journey, but a woman of strength knows it is in the journey where she will become strong. If you know this one, please email me. The author is unknown on that. I wanted to kind of close this out because really, I reflect a lot about my journey. I've been in the agency over 30 years as well. And really, over the last 100 years, we've made great strides and we continue our journey every day. And I wanted to just give a thanks to our grandmothers. When I reflect back, my grandmother was a grown woman before she was allowed to vote. My mother, she passed away last year at age 92, and she was told that she couldn't go to college and she had to go to secretarial school. And now come full circle, she was so proud last year. My daughter, so her granddaughter, she's on a full academic scholarship, so proud mom moment. But my mother sat back and was like, I was told that I couldn't go to college and now they're paying for her to go attend college. So we've really come a long way. And so we need to thank our aunts, our cousins, our coworkers, our sisters, all of these amazing women that came before us. And then last week I was on I was observing Alice at a Bessie Coleman event, and she was speaking and she was talking about Catherine Wright, who is the younger sister of Wilbur and Orville Wright, and that they gave him some credit. So I did some more research on this. And I did not realize that Catherine Wright, she managed the bicycle shop. She helped with flight operations, writing, communications, and she tossed around these ideas with her brothers. And they really, even back then, back in 1903, she became an international celebrity along with her brothers, and she was recognized for her contributions. And they were all awarded the French Legion of Honor to all three of the Wright siblings. So just think, if Catherine was told to stay home, we all might not be in this industry. And then I would be remiss not to thank all of the amazing men who made this change possible. We need to thank our grandfathers who had the insight to encourage their sisters and their daughters to dream that anything is possible. We want to thank our fathers for believing in us, our cousins, our brothers, our coworkers. I work in a male-dominated industry like many of the ladies on the panel, and without these folks' support and encouragement, I wouldn't be where I am today, and many of us wouldn't either. So many of you out there have made these opportunities for all the young women to shoot for the stars and beyond. So I want to finish up with one final quote, because I love to have fun. If you can dance and be free and not be embarrassed, you can rule the world. Amy Poehler. So be safe, take care of each other, and wishing you all many happy landings.